Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod and this is Star Wars 7x7, your daily dose of Star Wars joy. And thank you so much for joining me for it. So To the Last is the Admiral Piett story in From a Certain Point of View, the short story collection celebrating 40 years of Return of the Jedi. And it basically takes place more or less over the last moment or so, well, at least as far as the part that takes place within Return of the Jedi goes, when that A-Wing is flying into the bridge and he considers how he's led up to this and he thinks to himself that he's done everything right. And it kind of put me in mind of a Star Trek The Next Generation episode. Yeah, I know, we're not, we're going to the other one, right? Where Data is facing off against this other character who, is an undefeated player in some game that they have in the Star Trek universe. And somebody tells him like, yeah, you can do everything right and still lose. And so he decides, oh, well, instead of doing everything right, I'll just, I won't try to win. I'll just try to, keep from losing and try to keep him from winning, basically. So he changes his strategy, and I just got put in mind that for some reason. But the reason why Piett is thinking that he did everything right is that he is kind of full of himself, basically. In some sense, he's reflecting on how he earned a battlefield promotion and he is pretty awesome, so he doesn't need any pomp and circumstance because not only was it a battlefield promotion, but Darth Vader gave it to him, so he must really be a big deal, and he's the youngest admiral in the Imperial Navy, or so he believes, and he thinks, oh yeah, after this whole engagement with the rebels, like, they'll make me a Moff within a week. But he's also having nightmares, and in particular about that moment from The Empire Strikes Back when Vader chokes Admiral Ozzel. In the narrative it says from a dozen parsecs away, and you can't hear anything about a dozen parsecs without thinking about Han saying less than 12 parsecs, right? And in Piett's mind, the ghost of Ozzel, or a memory of Ozzel, like sort of the angel of his lesser nature, if you will, is saying, well, but I did everything right, and so look what happened to me, which of course he didn't do everything right, so that's its own thing. But yeah, so all that's happening inside Piett's mind, and he's also reflecting back on his life and where he came from, the little planet that he grew up on that had ore mines which were mined out by the Empire, and his father was doing what little work could be done in the ore mines. His mother was running a little inn that occasionally people from the Imperial Navy would come to, and there were like rock formations Piett would climb up, where one time he fell and really kind of messed up his back, and it happened that somebody from the Imperial Navy was at the inn and his mother had been worried sick, and so this person from the Imperial Navy went out and found him and carried him back, and that was the thing that ultimately inspired Piett to go into the Imperial Navy to enlist. And also the fact that his father had hoped that he would get off this rundown planet at some point, which ironically the Empire is what made that planet a wasteland, and now he's just going on to serve the same masters that ruined that planet. And that's pretty much all you need to know about To the Last, which is the Admiral Piett story in the From a Certain Point of View collection celebrating 40 years of Return of the Jedi. And that is going to do it for this episode of the podcast. It just remains for me to say thank you so much for joining me for it, as always, and may the Force be with you wherever in the world you may be.
Star Wars 7x7 is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited, or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyright by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.